Let's go.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode 30, part 2. As always, joining you today, Max Smith and Matt de la Harpe.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back, everyone. Hello, mate.
Still freezing.
Still freezy. Still breezy.
Till we can afford a heater.
Here we go. Yeah. You got dragon breath at the minute. Looking good. If at any point people would like to crowdfund a heater for us, we will be adding a Patreon link in the bio below. I say Patreon link, I'm just going to be typing in the word Patreon and you can just text us money, it's fine. I have no idea how Patreon actually works.
No idea, we need to look into that.
It's like a subscription or some kind of shit. But it's all good. So, in carrying on with our theme for every episode, even though split into parts, we're going to be having a quote and a principle. Before we lead into that, was there anything on your mind at all, my friend?
Well, I would just like to say we're obviously presenting ourselves as paupers at the moment, as if we can't afford a heater and bits and bobs like that. Now, it's one thing I've learned is, especially in all of the different business ventures and investing aspects and stuff like that, is you need to keep everything separate. So what do I mean by that? Do I take the revenue I've earned as profit from one business and put into another potential liability and potentially lose the profit from that successful business and lose it in the new venture potential liability? Now, it's different when you're investing, but how I like to think about things is if unless that venture is making money for itself, then you don't want to be taking money from one profitable business and put it into the next. So my point on that is, we can afford a heater, etc., but our money is better used in the business ventures that we have currently until it's completely excess. Then we can sling it into this.
That's a very interesting point you make there, because you've got... Wait, coming through okay? I was talking about hat on, it's quite quiet.
It is quite quiet, yeah.
Hang on, let me try it. Better? Is that louder? Is it all good?
Bit louder, yeah.
Bit louder? Hang on, let me try that. How's that? That better?
That's better, yeah.
Alright, cool. It's interesting you say to that with... one of the podcasts I listen to is called Whiskey Ginger, and this guy, Andrew Santino, is a stand-up on it. He has 2 or 3 podcasts. So his main... When he started that podcast, he was told by his agent and his manager and other people in that world, they were like, he was actually told by Rogan about it. He was told the first year, maybe 2, you're not going to see any money for it. It's actually going to be a money suck, because this is one of those things that takes time to build up. So whereas, with a standard investment, you would start with 1 and then accumulate, you're going to start with a negative 100, and then you have to accumulate up from there.
Exactly.
So that's where we are from here, which was really reassuring to hear, because he's very successful at it, makes good money off it. And he started off, even though exactly as you said, even though he was successful in something else, he started off with this in a loss without the comforts or the, because he is a comfort at this point. It's not a necessity, as we've proven. But he started off without all of those, and only since it's itself as an entity started making money, he was then able to put money into it from there.
Well, there are 2 main reasons, I make that point. The first main reason is, if you've got a successful, profitable business or way of making money, the last thing you want to do is take that profit out of that business and reinvest it into something else. You want to keep all of your pots separate, because if the worst does happen, say for example the successful business, we have a big recession or something like that, and the successful business needs the money because that's the only one that's still working in the current market, and you've spent all your money on a different venture that's now gone to shit. Not only can you not invest in the business that is creating and making money, you've also lost that. So you've taken the benefits from this and thrown it away effectively into the other one. So you want to keep that separate, producing all its own, reinvesting all its own cash flow and profit to better that business. And then the second point is, if you take the money from this and put it into there, there's no motivation really to push this to generate an income because you know you've got it from that one. Does that make sense?
Both very good points.
So if you're on this one, you need to force the discomfort, like we've said, in order for your brain to fire up and think, right, how can I make this work?
Yeah, precisely. Like right now, like this, as I said in the first half of this, we're in the hard part right now. We're in the trenches right now, mate.
The fun part, though.
Yeah. Well, and it's fun because we're in the trenches together.
Exactly.
And you know what? It's only going to get colder.
Exactly. Yeah. This isn't even cold at the moment.
It's not cold. But again, we're going to learn as well. We're going to come in with more layers, more socks, more gloves. We're going to have a scarf. Oh, you could be treated to see a scarf. That's going to be exciting.
Maybe a heater for Christmas.
A heater for Christmas. Oh, that would be good. Yeah, bit delayed gratification. We can wait a couple of weeks.
Exactly.
I like
it.
I
right.
like it.
So today we hit on another principle and quote, as we said, we're going to push for is. So I thought this was a great one. Now the principle is true leadership should benefit the most in times of plenty, and suffer the most in times of hardship. Now, what do you take from that, Matt?
Well, for me, a greatest example to sort of showcase that would have been during COVID.
Yep.
So, a true leader during that time would have been like, okay, I've got X amount of employees, I run this big company, what's going to happen? How are we going to set this up? So, like the company I was working for at the time, they went, okay, everyone's getting furloughed. So the government's obviously paying for that around from there. At the moment, we unfortunately cannot do the top up for you guys from there, but we're going to keep on as many staff as we possibly can, keep everyone employed from there, and the higher ups are going to take a cut. So none of them are going to get their bonuses, and they're all going to take a pay cut from there. So the top management team didn't get any of their bonuses that they normally would, and they
the
all
ones that take the most stress and take the most risk.
Precisely. Yep, they all took a pay cut. But no one else's salary changed besides what they did from the furlough. And they said the reason we're not paying the 20% extra on top of the 80% that you'll get from the government is because we're going to keep that 20% in the company. So not in us, in the company, so that then we'll actually have a company to come back to when this is all done.
So in order to ensure it actually continues to...
And they made some hard decisions. They shut, I think it was 12% of their locations, had to lay off a certain amount of people, but they made them redundant, so they gave all good severance packages. And as far as that was obviously 3 and a bit years ago, nearly 4 years ago now, and when they came back guns blazing, opened all those stores back up. People who they had let go, they reapproached them, hired a whole bunch of them back again, gave them more gave them more money. All the benefits went up, which was brilliant for all of the staff. So it was overall, it was really, really, really inspiring to see and really reassuring that they acted in that way in the best interest for the company and the staff as well.
And then on the flip side of that,
that's
the suffering.
So that's the suffering. On the good side, they made an absolute killing. So price for everything went up. Obviously the bonuses went up for the staff, but then obviously that means the bonuses for the upper management went up as well. They probably got better commission structure for them. They probably got better bonuses as well. Took more holiday. They had their overall salaries increased, which is, considering how they took it from strength to strength and benefited everyone, they're well within their rights to do so.
Yeah, I think we discussed in episode 29, to the previous episode, how...
Let's bring that mic a little bit closer, mate.
How, there are a lot of people that see themselves on the front lines, and they think, oh, why is the management earning more money than I am? Blah, 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 blah. And the main point, without being cruel, is you have to learn and build yourself up and progress. Now, the majority of the time, as much as people don't like it, anyone could be on the front line. You could be replaced easily with someone else who can do your job. Therefore, the pool of choice for your position is much larger than the management, upper management, and director level. Therefore, the skills that you have are unfortunately less valuable because of supply and demand. There's a much higher supply of people that can do your role. Therefore, what you can demand as a salary is a lot less, because I can say, well, no, I'm not going to go for you. I'll go for someone else, because I've got the ability to choose someone else who will accept that role. And then for the managers, there's a massively reduced amount of people that, one, have the capability to manage people, two, will take on the risk and the stress to manage people, three, will take on the responsibility to manage people, because obviously if you're managing a team and something goes wrong, ultimately you're responsible and you've got to answer to your superiors. And if you're not ready to take that risk and have the skills to do so, then you're not right for that position. And because the pool of people that are able, capable and happy to take that risk is a lot less supply, which means they can demand more, higher demand in terms of salaries, and then the same going up the hierarchy. And that's what we need to remember, and why there is, what's the word I'm looking for, the motivation, especially in this principle that we've discussed, in order to be better and improve, because you can't expect to do the same job and be paid more unless you're bringing more in or bringing more skills to the table that are more valuable and desirable to the business. At the end of the day, a business is a business. It needs to bring money in, and you need to be of value to that business in order to demand the pay.
And I think the distinction as well is that it's not a binary system, so that when when the company's doing well, that the CEOs or directors are exempt from criticism or being challenged in their decisions. Arguably, it's even more reason to do so, because we have more to lose now. Yeah. So if things are going well, then you want to be like, great. Are you on the right track to make them better, or are you now going to take your foot off the pedal and we're going to slide into a bad place from here? So they should be under constant scrutiny and challenged more, but equally, absolutely, be rewarded for when it goes well, because it's like we were saying last episode, a good manager, you should have no idea what they're doing, because it's all in the background. Yeah. Like with the CEO of my previous company, when that was during COVID, he personally was negotiating the leases for all the landlords. So he was on the phone to the landlords himself, partly because everyone else was furloughed, but still he was doing it himself, because he was like, if I don't have these stores, I don't have a business. Yeah,
in order to keep it going. Mm-hmm. And it's, especially for the people on the front line, they tend to be on a standard basic salary. Now, unless you're in a sales role, you will just get a salary, that's it. No matter what you bring in or what you do for the business, you'll get paid that no matter what. Whereas the management and upper management tend to be target driven. So they'll accept a lower salary with no guarantee that they're going to earn more money. Mm-hmm. The only way they can earn more money is based on their performance. And therefore, because they're taking that risk, they deserve, in the times of plenty, to earn more money, because they've put themselves in a position that if anything goes wrong, the times of suffering, that they effectively guaranteeing they're going to get paid less. So when the times are good, they deserve to be paid more, because they're the ones putting themselves at risk, and it's the risk reward factor, isn't it? If you don't put the risk in to force yourself in a position to earn more money and progress and increase your level of sales, without the requirement of need, like we said about the people on the front line that are on the basic salaries, they don't really care whether they get the job done or not, because they're still being paid.
Yeah.
Whereas if you only get paid based on what you sell and you're targeted on, you've got no option than to push forward. And the benefit being, obviously, the more you do, the more you get paid. So you've got that motivation to do so.
Very interesting you phrase it that way, because as you're saying, that's making me think that my job role at the minute, I'm a manager, but equally I'm a one-on-one trainer, and also I am a sales rep as well, because I am targeted every month on hitting my sales. Yeah. And if I hit that every quarter, I get a bonus every quarter.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's the exact same thing. So an aspect of my day is making new business. So it's...
If you didn't have that bonus, you wouldn't make that part of your day, would you?
No, and if
There's
I
no
didn't
benefit.
if I didn't have that bonus, there wouldn't be that extra incentive to. I'd be less enthusiastic about this job.
No, of course.
Because I have the opportunity to make more money. I'm like, okay, let's go make more money. So let's call these people more. Let's go, for exactly what I do, the most effective method is physically going out and meeting new people. So I go to office buildings, I go to coffee places, I go to restaurants, I go to bars, I just walk past people in the street. I'll go to universities, I'll go to colleges. Set up, I don't know, charity days, little challenges. Let's bring a rowing machine and a spin bike. See how fast you can all go in 15 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, it gets you thinking, doesn't it? All the
yeah.
different ways you can be different in order to bring that business in.
Yeah, and you make it fun, you make it exciting, and you pick up members from there because they're like, I had a really good time with this guy. Let's go see what the place he works at looks like, and they'll stay because of that. And a lot of them have. So from there, so you're cold calling in person, but it's the higher success rate because you're way more engaging. You've got body language. People know your name. They can see your face and everything from here. But as you say, back to your point, because that's the sales part of it as well as the management part of it. It's all something that I build into my day and into my focus, and it's an incentive for me to want to be there to push forward from there. Because I'm taking that risk by going to all these places. And I have probably, 10% conversion rate.
No guarantee.
No guarantee at all. It's a lot of no's, a lot of, yeah, sure, whatever. And then, they probably chuck in the bin once I've gone. But if it works, it's brilliant. And so far it is. So,
but that's the thing. We've got to, for most people, we've got to get it out of our mindset that the minimum wage, guaranteed pay type of thing. Because if you're asking for guaranteed pay, you're basically asking to be paid as little as can be afforded in order to do your job. That's the long and short of it. If I need to guarantee a pay for someone, I'm not going to guarantee them the top end of the market where we earn. I have to guarantee them the low end of what we earn, because I will go out of business if I guarantee the top end and we're earning the low end.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm guaranteeing the low end and we drop from high to medium to low, we're all still safe. Everybody's still got their jobs and I can do that. Whereas if you choose, like we said before, the sales role, you're not guaranteed that you're even going to earn any money, but it's based on your skill. And there's two things there. If you're rating to the bottom for the minimum wage, whatever it is, the little as possible, you are not forcing yourself to improve and be better as a person. Therefore, you're going to stay at that same level, and rarely are you going to progress and earn any more. Whereas if you put yourself in the uncomfortable position where you have no choice but to earn money, you're going to learn, grow, build. You're going to be around other people, potential business owners or potential sales managers or something like that will see the effort level that you put in and the fact that you are so hungry in order to be a better person and earn money for that business, that you're going to be approached by them quite often and say, hey, come work for me. Like, do you want to come do this? Do you want to do that? Blah, 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 blah. Whereas the people on the bottom, low minimum wage with the zero effort level, no one's going to come to them and offer them a better role. They're going to stay there all the time.
It's very interesting. One of the quite a few of the guys who were at our previous company you and I were both at, they've left, and because one of the directors has started his own estate agency, but he's modelled it how the Americans do it.
Yes.
So
avocado.
Yeah. So so for that model, if anyone doesn't know, is that all employees are effectively self-employed. They don't get a specific. You don't get a salary as it is, but you'll get paid on the fee, and then the umbrella company will take a small percentage of that fee, which in itself is fascinating because it's like the people who are taking that is like, I'm confident in my skills and I'm hungry enough to go get that, because that is massive high risk,
so you're also
but massive high reward.
The best people to work.
Yeah, exactly, and only the best can stick it out, because that's huge risk, but that's also huge reward. What's the typical sales percentage as a fee?
What, for when I was working?
Yeah, for like selling a house, what was the percentage as a fee?
I think mine was something like 10% of the whole fee.
Yeah, so if you're looking at, I don't know, 250 grand, and the umbrella company takes 10%, 20 grand fee.
Oh no, sorry. The standard fee would be 1 or 2%.
Got you. There you go.
I would
You
get
take 10 of
10%
that.
of the 1 or 2%.
Cool. Yeah. Let's do. Yeah, still 1%. The 2.5 grand. They take 20%. You get 2 grand from that.
Yeah.
There you go. that app itself is awesome from there, as opposed to what?
No, sorry, what 1% of 250
Where's my brain gone?
is £2,500. So then I'd get £250.
But for you from that way, but I'm saying for these guys,
Oh yeah,
they take that fee, 20% off of that, and then they keep the 80, so they get £2,000, 2.5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
So, so again, that's a huge difference, and that's at the
from
bottom.
the 250 to the £2,000. It provides that motivation in order for them to.
Absolutely, and this is just at the bottom end of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
With 250k, I don't even know what property you can buy for 250k.
No, exactly. I mean, standard like
you can
2 beds.
You can franchise a McDonald's. I don't know.
You could,
you can franchise it. But yeah, equally, if you and from where they're working, average property prices is 550.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, so if you're getting that from there, yeah, again 1% of that, £5,500. Yeah, 4,750, something like that.
But then on the flip side of things is minimum. I was speaking to someone the other day about minimum wage, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's great. The minimum wage has gone up." And I said, "Look, what you're misunderstanding is the minimum wage is a guaranteed amount that somebody can pay you, which means all of prices are set based from the minimum wage. So you increase the minimum wage. That sounds great. All the prices of stuff have gone up, so they increase the minimum wage. Well, what does that mean now? Well, that means the price of everything is going to go up again.
And that's going to go up because of owners have to meet their bottom line,
and
they have to get a profit off it. Even to make a livable profit for that person, everything's got to go up as well.
Exactly. So it amazes me when they talk about minimum wage and stuff like that and increasing it, because I just think, well, all that is going to increase inflation.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, unfortunately, that's the world we live in.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's a good thing. But what I'm saying is, if you increase minimum wage, that is setting the boundary of what everything can work towards. Whereas if we didn't have minimum wage and everybody negotiated their salary, then somebody else might get paid slightly more for doing a job, but that will only be based on their experience and how good they are at it.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if I got someone in and I paid them 20 grand or something like that, and they weren't that good, but then I saw someone who was better and I paid them 25 grand to do the same job. Now, the person getting paid 20 grand has two options. They either do better or bring in more money to earn more money, or I'm going to keep on the person that earns more money. Now, on the flip side, same thing again. If the person who I'm paying more is not as good as the person who I'm paying less, well, I'm just going to get rid of them, aren't I? But whereas when everything's on a minimum baseline, it forces that requirement for prices to go up. Whereas in the previous scenario, it gives the person who's better more earning capacity, which means they can buy more because the bottom line is not set. It's based on there.
Yeah, and people only look at the minimum wage based upon what they themselves can earn. They're not going to look at the secondary or third order of effect from there, which is the price of the goods you're looking at. So you and I back in our grunt days would have been like, okay, my time is worth X amount an hour, which for that previous company on paper worked out to £3.72. But that's not really the point. We worked out to 20 grand a year if we were lucky as a salary. Okay, so that's
therefore
what
we had to earn more money through sales, otherwise we were basically just dying. Yeah,
but okay, so that was our salary. Fine. So we were tertiary sectors. We were offering a service. No goods were changing hands or anything from there. Not too bad. But if you're looking at minimum wage for retail, you're stacking shelves. You're earning a certain amount over that hour. The cost of all those items is worked out by the
cost of sale
owner for that person there. So the cost would be turnover. The profit would be turnover minus cost. So all of the owners would have been like, okay, let's say I make 33% profit on all this. Brilliant, great. So that I'm going to make that profit based upon what it cost me in the mistake. It cost me, £1. I'm going to sell it for £1.33. Mm-hmm. Awesome, cool. And cool, then that worked out, and within that £1 I can pay for my staff as well for that amount. Okay, that's great. So they say the costing for the staffing goes up, they're like, shit, that's my profit gone. So now this same Freddo or whatever has to be now 188 or something. So 166, because let's say we still get the 33%. So we're doubling from there, fine. So 166. So, but that means everything has to go up by another 33%, which, considering, you know, a conservative or a fair inflation of everything is 5%, and that's still a lot. If you're looking at something that's, I don't know, that's worth 10 grand, if you put it at 5%, that's still a shit ton more money going up from there. And you do that across everything. Yeah. One line of product on one item, on one chocolate bar, doesn't mean shit. You do it on thousands. Yeah, that's an insane jump, and that's just one item. Yeah. And if you look at a supermarket that has tens of thousands of items,
and the inflation rate is not that the CPI is the average of certain items they choose to pick. It's not the average of every single potential purchase. So you'll find a lot of things we got 10, 15, 20%, whereas other stuff might, go down or stay the same or only go up 1 or 2%.
Yeah.
So it's not across the board.
No, of course not. And that's if you raise the baseline, because people look at, oh great, I'll get more money. It's like you're raising the minimum expenditure of all employers. Yeah. So you're putting it there, it's mandatory for them to spend more money. So their costs
go up. You're guaranteeing costs go up. And that's why financial literacy is the most important aspect, I think, especially in the world that we live in. Do you know what I mean? Everything's based on money and buying things. So if you're financially ignorant, then you're setting yourself up to fail, and you're setting yourself for a hard and miserable life. It's pretty simple. And back in our parents' day and then there were generations before, people had the excuse to be ignorant. You could still learn if you put yourself in the right positions and had the motivation to do so, but you had to create that yourself. Whereas these days, you can find everybody's got a phone. Most people have got laptops. Most people have got PlayStations, iPads, anything that can potentially connect to the internet. So it's a choice these days to be ignorant in any aspect. And for, it's different for medical things or engineering or things that you don't need to know. But two things, health and financial literacy, it's a choice these days to allow yourself to be, one, ill, and two, financially unstable or unsecure. And that's one thing, frustrates me with, people I used to work with and people I work with now is getting ill. They've got it in their mind that it's a normal thing. It's not. Unless you have got a serious life-threatening illness, having a cold or having a headache or anything like that is based 100% on what you put into your body and how you exercise and act throughout the day. And, I have no sympathy for the people that are not chronically, but always ill or unmotivated or depressed or, anything like that. Unless you've got some serious psychological reasons to be depressed, I 100% understand those. Some people have had some terrible experiences in their lives and it puts them in a situation where it can be quite hard to avoid thinking about those things constantly. But for most of us in our lives, we've lived nice and easy lives and situations and jobs, and to be depressed about having to go to work or something like that it's a bit ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? And same as again, even I'd say to the people that have gone through horrific trauma, as I say, it's not great, and I wish all the sympathy to you, but you still have the choice. Is how I see it is, and factually, your thoughts create your physical reality, and you control your thoughts. So all you need to do is learn how to control your thoughts. By the age of 20, 25, 30, fuck me, you should know these things by now. You should be able to control your own thoughts. And if you can't control your own thoughts, you are destined to live and be controlled by your emotions and other people, because you're easily manipulated.
What did we say in episode 26? Those with poor control are easily controlled by others.
Yeah, easily. And, I test the people I work with around me all the time. And I tell them, I say, look, learn simple psychology. It's so easy. And then I'll intentionally do something or put them in a situation, and I go, but the best one is you might ask them to do something or do something in a certain way, and they'll think, oh no, I don't want to do it like that, or I don't want to do that, or something like this. And then the next day I'll flip it and go, I bet you can't do this. And immediately I go, well, I can fucking do this, but who do you think you are, like, talking down at me, or not talking down, but, you know, underestimating me like that. They'll go and do it, and then I'll go, so did you see what I did over the last 2 days? I asked you to do something, and you refused to do it, because for whatever reason you didn't want to do it. But when I told you couldn't do it, you immediately got emotional and did it. And at the end of the day, I shouldn't have to say you can't do something. But the simple psychology, which I told you to research to be a better person, has just played out. And then a lot of the time they're like, oh, I see what you did there. And like, it makes sense. And it's great and funny to see the sort of penny drop. And it works so well. Like, as I said, I shouldn't have to, but sometimes you have to.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see because you and I are naturally curious people. Because we are naturally curious, and because we've observed these things through our life experiences in the workplace, we have these methods of just knowing how people work, like we're talking about in the previous episode the previous part with like some basic negotiation tactics. It's just working out how people overall tend to really work
and pushing the right buttons, and everybody's different, aren't they?
Yeah, interesting what you were saying about like what you think, how you think is how your reality will be. When early this year I was introduced to mushrooms, and I've done it a couple of times since then, and it's fascinating because each of them have left me with a lesson afterwards. And the first lesson I learned was you can just let thoughts go away. Yeah. And thoughts,
if you hold on to them, what you think about multiplies. You think about negative things, it's going to blow up in proportion. But then on the flip side, if you think about positive things, that's going to blow up in proportion.
Yeah,
and you choose what you control and think about.
Because thoughts are balloons. Yeah. Because like if you have a bad thought balloon, the thought balloons are bad thought balloons are way bigger than good ones, which are smaller, but there's more of them. So the big ones are harder to control, because if you've got a massive helium balloon, that thing's dragging you around all over the place. If you just let go of that, it's buggered off and it's gone. And it was so interesting to see it, because I was in this mind expanding state, I could literally see it like above me, and I was just.
And it's effectively like you've got 1,000 balloons in front of you. That's sort of buzzing in, that's buzzing in, that's buzzing in, that's buzzing in. And at one time you might hold on to that, and then as you feel it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, your emotional reaction gets larger. Yeah. And you get more connected to it. But if you just let it go, if it's a negative, you just got to let it go. If it's a positive, hold on to it. And
absolutely,
it'll make you feel great.
And also, the positive ones are good for you because they're of a size that's manageable, so they'll help you like float along and help you fly. Whereas the big ones you'll lose control because it's so big. That's why it's negative, and you can't control that. It will drag you to a place you don't want to go to, and you then got to find your way back from it.
And in general life, when you're not intoxicated, it's all about input. So if you're constantly playing shoot 'em up games, is that what they call them, like Call of Duty or something like that, like when people have been murdered, you're watching horror films where people have been murdered all the time.
Instagram feed is people getting run over by cars.
Yeah, your Instagram, all that type of stuff. It's all input that's going into your brain, and then you think about those things, and then you think, if you've watched 100 videos of that happening, you're going to be more inclined to think about that because it's what's imprinted in your brain. Same with porn, same with positive situations, same with, as we said before, most of my Instagram feed comes up with motivational quotes, entrepreneurs, all those types of things, and that's the things that I program and use as input into my brain. So therefore, when I'm asleep at night, I don't think about negative things like, what happens about this, or war or politics or blah blah blah. I'm thinking, right, so what have I got to do tomorrow to achieve that goal, or get my income to this, or to buy that house or buy that car or whatever it is. It's all got to be positive. And again, it comes based on what your thoughts are. If you can't control your thoughts and you focus on the negatives all the time, that's what's going to balloon. I love that analogy. I've never heard that before, but that is fantastic.
It only came to me because I was on a my mind was expanded. That's the only, because that's how it physically manifested to me. So that's why it sticks with me.
No, I find that's great. It's I never thought about that before, but it helps massively to think about things like that. That's incredible. I'm going to take that with me.
That's a good one.
But so the other thing we did discuss, which I thought was brilliant, and this is the quote for today's episode, is if what you are doing benefits other people, if what you're doing does not benefit other people, it's not big enough.
Fucking great, isn't it?
That's brilliant. Remind me, who is that from?
That is from Charlemagne the God on the Brilliant Idiots podcast with him and Andrew Schultz.
Yeah. Andrew Schultz, he's hilarious as well.
Schultz is he's hilarious and
smart at the same time.
He's so on the money with so many things. It's freaky. He's so insightful.
Did you see the ones which I thought was brilliant? He was like, "You women, you've outsmarted men throughout the centuries." And he's saying basically like in caveman days, he was like, "No, it's fine. You manly men, you go over there. Oh, you're so much stronger than us guys. Come on, you go out. You save us. You go kill the saber-toothed tiger and take that elephant down. Oh, you're so strong. We love you guys. Like, thank you." And then it comes to going to war, and it's like, "Oh no, we're too. We can't do that. You guys are so much stronger than us. Please, go out there and save us. We're just damsels in distress." Now we're in a point where we don't need that, and there isn't any war. It's like, right, I'm in charge now. We don't need you. Like, I'm going to do what I want. I'm a young, independent woman. And, it's crazy how emotionally intelligent women are in that respect, and how emotionally unintelligent most men tend to be in general. It's quite funny.
Again, basic psychology. Being like, oh, yeah, if you appeal to a man's pride, you can get him to do almost anything.
100%.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Now, that's a fucking awesome quote. And again, with that one, it ties in exactly to your principles about it's not about I'm not making money directly for me to spend right now. It's something that I can spend on other people and spend on my family and my friends in the future. Yeah,
and it's got to be done. The first bit of money you make, you will not always, but I think you have to do this to progress. Same as when you're training in the gym, or for me, the business aspect is you have to waste, so that you can realise how stupid it is to waste the money. Mm-hmm. Waste it on physical, material objects. Don't get me wrong, they're great to have and they're nice to use, but they don't bring you any type of fulfilment. And the only real fulfilment you get is by progressing and making the people around you better, which means you, in a direct and indirect way, because we're all interdependent, you make them better, it makes your experience better. And it's not, it's not really in a selfish manner, but I am doing it for myself and the people around me. I want them to be better, and I want them to be better for their benefit and for my benefit. And you can look at it on the flip side: is if I don't do that, I do the opposite of that. I make things worse for me and the people around me. Make things worse for the people around me. I guarantee things are going to be worse for me, and it's a terrible downward spiral. I want to be on the upward spiral, not the downwards.
That's a very interesting perspective. If you're not investing in everyone around you, you're guaranteeing it's going to be worse for you in the future.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, it depends how you choose to look at things, but I want things to be better for myself. I want things to be better for my children, which I don't have yet. I want things to be better for my family and my friends and the people around me. And if I'm not pushing them forward, they can't improve. And if they're not improving, they can't push me forward.
It's a lovely one with this, because it doesn't really need to have more to it about it said than it already has. It's so great. It's simple and it's really short. It's fantastic. But obviously it adds into so many aspects. You've got the delayed gratification principle. You've got we're all social creatures, so that we live longer when we're with other people than just by ourselves. Average person gains 4 years on their life from being married. If you're built about other people, if you build up your kids in your community, that means they're more likely to have kids of their own. Grandchildren add another X amount of years onto your life as well. It just cascades from there. Just keeps on going.
And on that point, I've been watching the Planet of the Apes trilogy over the last week, and that hits the nail on the head perfectly. Like, have you seen the trilogy?
Oh yeah.
Yes. For anyone that hasn't, it's the typical story of. Well, it's not a typical story, but it's the basic premise of the story is the humans try and cheat nature by creating a medicine that kills Alzheimer's, and they instead of experimenting on themselves, they experiment on apes, and it ends up making the apes super intelligent, and then it then creates a disease which wipes out a lot of the human population
and turns them into animals, effectively, into very apish.
Later on it does. So the first stage is it kills a lot of people, and then it progresses over the next 10 to 15 years that it actually degenerates the humans that are left. The ones that haven't been wiped out by the disease end up degenerating to the point where they can't talk, etc., etc., and they basically rescind back to effectively what the apes were like, whereas the apes are on the opposite upward trajectory.
They develop speech towards the end as well,
where they become far more intelligent. They can outsmart the humans, and they obviously start to talk among themselves. And the point on that is the good people around them, like the good humans and the good apes, they end up protecting and preserving and improving their tribes effectively, and it shows how powerfully a few toxic people can ruin situations, which is why you want to avoid having the toxic people around you as much as you can. Now, you can't always guarantee, because of the way life is, that you're not going to have them around you, but you just have to control it as much as possible and keep them at arm's length. But effectively, one of the apes didn't like the way that the leader of the apes was carrying out things, because he became emotional and he thought that he was too lenient with the humans that had abused him or whatever like that, whereas the leader was trying to preserve the peace, so it's better for his tribe and better for the humans. And the ape started a huge war, and it just made everything progressively worse for both sides, because he couldn't put his emotions aside. And it's a perfect example of what we said, is that you've got to be doing things to benefit others around you, whether they're part of your tribe or not. It directly affects you if you don't take those steps.
Yeah, and so this is the modern series we're talking about, not the original one.
Yes.
The first one is they're masterfully done. Like it when they so the main character is called Caesar, played by Andy Serkis, absolute god. And they take him home. His humanity grows and sort of gets shown more. But when they put him back in the zoo, it's exactly like what a human would be like if you put him in a zoo. Mm-hmm. It is heartbreaking. It is so hard to watch that, because exactly what it is how we would be.
Yeah. And
it's a fantastic film. It's so good. But all of those films together, I don't know why it is, but the second one is just I can't remember it. Like the first and the third one I can remember. I can't remember the second one for some reason.
So the second one that's the one where Cobra starts the war against the humans. So that's I think they're 5 years in or something like that, and the apes are living in the woods and the humans are living in the San Francisco still. And
but there's just not many of them left.
There's not many of them left because the majority of them have been wiped out.
It's coming back to me now. They all come back into the city, and
that's it. They come to the apes and say, "Look, we don't want to be in your land, but we need the dam that we need for our power is in the jungle where you are. So we need to come and work on it." Blah 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 blah. But it starts by them coming into the land, and one of the scared humans killing one of the apes, and then happens to be the scared ape that was the one that ended up starting the war. And really they're all just trying to work for the betterment of their tribe, but the weak ones end up destroying it and ruining it for everyone. And then the third one is they're all still at war,
and just in the snow you got Woody Harrelson as the main villain,
protagonist.
So good, so good.
And then he ends up reverting back to not being unable to talk.
And which then explains why he's been acting so weird, and his and he's making all these rash decisions because he's not thinking straight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating, and it's a good analogy for life and how we need to be better and control ourselves. Otherwise, we create situations that can seriously damage us, affect us mentally and the people around us, and make for a worse place to live.
Well, as we said, our one overarching principle is to leave this world a better place than how we found it.
Exactly. That's always the main principle of life. That's why we've got it on the wall.
Beautiful. Mr. Max, you killed it again, my friend.
As always.
Absolute pleasure.
Take
For everyone, thank you very much. Remember to like and subscribe. Again, heaters, you can drop them off just outside the door. The address will be in the description below. But until then, we'll see you guys next time.